unpaid.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Rugby Scoop podcast. I am not by myself. I am with Vickers Miranda, while we wait for the other guys to be joining in. Vickers, how are things? How's the weekend been so far?
Yeah, all good, brother. Just obviously watching some rugby, interesting things. A lot of rugby.
Happening.
Because I had sevens, I had 15s. Yes, it's a mess.
Yeah. I mean, I know the Blitzbokke went into the semi-finals or the finals in the sevens this weekend, right?
Yeah, they just beat Argentina now in the semi-finals, so they'll go and play Australia in the final later on.
Oh, nice. Okay, fair enough. They seem to be on an upward trajectory at the moment, the Blitzbokke. Griffin, how's it going? You good?
How's it, guys? Good to be back.
Good to be back. Guys, as usual, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump straight into it. We know we're going to be discussing all the quarterfinals that took place over the weekend, and then some Super Rugby games that were quite interesting results. But as usual, we're starting off with news making headlines this week. Vickers, double World Cup winning centre Damian de Allende could also make his way back to the mother city in Cape Town, in joining the Stormers, according to Rapport. What are your thoughts on Damian de Allende coming back to South Africa? It seems like the Stormers now are trying to get everyone back that started their careers in Cape Town.
Yeah, crazy, hey? I could say that he wants Rassie's team all over together, but you know, I think Scoop. The one thing that I've always spoken about, because I've lived overseas, obviously for so many years, is that there comes a point where you get over it. Like you get tired, you really miss home, and you really want to just leave everything and go back home. Which is, I'm in a similar boat as well now.
Yeah.
I'm currently looking at going back home, you know, but obviously for players, it's quite easy. Players that have made it, it's easy to get the jobs, whereas for us who have been bashing at the coaching, it's very hard to get in. But for me, it's always that factor that at some point you'll have to go back home because, I mean, our parents are not getting any younger. The kids are growing, so you need to just go back, settle down, and rebuild your life again. Yep.
No, fair. Griffin, your thoughts on Damian going back to the Stormers? I mean, what if we're looking at the current Stormers side, right? I mean, we thought they would be quite healthy in midfield, or maybe they're lacking in midfield.
I think Rooyen is underrated. I think he's playing very well. He's very important for them. He's one of those players where maybe you watch the game, you don't notice him that much, but you watch it back, you break down the game, and you say, "Oh, there he is. Oh, he's there he is again." You know, he's the kind of player that you notice more on the second watch. But yeah, I mean, let's not kid ourselves that de Allende doesn't get into the Stormers. He absolutely does, and he makes them better. I mean, obviously with both him and Cheslin, they only can look good if Sacha chooses to pass the ball to them. Same with Leinster. But look, Domo's getting the old band back together. And I think as rugby fans, we've just got to celebrate it, man. Because we want to see, obviously, the Stormers, the biggest attendances in the URC.
Yeah.
Huge club. We want to see the South African Galacticos here. That's what we want.
Ooh, the Galacticos. Hello, Stormers Galacticos. Yeah, Ivan van Rooyen, the Lions coach, has admitted that the Lions were taught a harsh lesson by Leinster after their 59-10 defeat on Saturday. We will be dissecting that. Springbok fly-off Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu injured his ankle in the act of scoring his second try as he hobbled on crutches after the match. I hope this is not too serious, but apparently Dobbo has said that it looks quite serious. But let's see what unfolds over the week, because the Stormers have to travel to what is it? Is it Leinster? I think it's Leinster. Yeah, they travel to Leinster, and the Bulls
Yeah, they
travel.
travel to Leinster.
Yeah, yeah. And other news making headlines, Ruan Jacobs will be the Sharks' new talent recruiter. Ruan Jacobs, guys, if you don't know him, he was a coach at Affie's. Now he will be joining the Sharks as a talent recruiter. Ruan Venter had caught what is it? Yeah, suffered a knee injury against Leinster yesterday, and apparently Ruan Venter was in Rassie's radar as the number 4 lock for the Springboks. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see him in these June, July tests that are coming up. Unfortunate injury for Ruan Venter, unfortunately. Lions and Springbok prop Asenathi Ntlabakanye has little appetite to challenge the ruling that will keep him sidelined until 2027 November. Have you guys been following this Ntlabakanye story, Vickers or Hugh?
Yeah, not really for me. I mean, it's tough. I think also because remember, if you challenge it and you
Lose.
you lose, the ban is harsh. It's even more harsh. So you have to be careful, especially when you know that you could be guilty. I mean, only the player knows. So we can all speculate, but the signs are there. So yeah.
The signs are there. Former Springbok Elton Jantjies is reportedly being pursued by Sars, South African Revenue Services. So that's the tax operators in South Africa. So yeah, he has some unpaid debts, Elton Jantjies. So hopefully he can sort that out. News coming from down under New Zealand. New Zealand rugby has reportedly intervened with Hurricanes Fehi Fainganofo. What a name. Fehi Fainganofo. Yeah, he was supposed to go to Newcastle Red Bulls. Apparently the negotiations are still going on, where New Zealand rugby now has come in to try and get Fehi to stay in New Zealand. Perhaps Dave Rennie wants this guy to play in these upcoming tests. What are your guys' thoughts in Fehi? He's a top try scorer currently in Super Rugby. He he made his debut this season because what is his name? Naholo was injured. They had a few injuries on the wings, the Hurricanes, and Fehi got the opportunity. And man, has he taken it with both hands this season. Griffin, what are your thoughts on Newcastle's negotiations being stopped by New Zealand to keep the winger?
Yeah, well, he's been announced by Newcastle. It's all signed, sealed, delivered, as far as I was aware, and so they're trying to get him out. I mean, it's not a great look for Super Rugby when the top points scorer, try scorer in the league, signs for literally the worst club in pro rugby abroad.
Yeah,
like Newcastle. Yesterday was their second win of the season. I think they're maybe 4th win in the last 3 years. So for him to leave to be the top try scorer in Super Rugby, to be the top try scorer for the top team in Super Rugby, and then go to the worst team in England is not a great optics. And I wondered, like, it again speaks to a point that I keep bringing up, and you and Jay keep telling me no, but it's like who is doing the talent ID in New Zealand? Because we're seeing all these players going abroad, and sometimes they're good players, man. And everyone's just like, well, there'll be another one. Like, well, maybe this time it's finally someone in New Zealand waking up and realizing that they need to do something.
No, fair point. I don't know, man. I think, for example, nobody knew of Fehi, right? Up until the season of Super Rugby. They do have heaps of talent coming through, and especially on the wings. Unfortunately, what's his name now at Highlanders also got injured. Maybe this is what prompted New Zealand Rugby to kind of go, oh, we don't have Caleb, who just got injured against who were they playing? I think they were playing the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. But Caleb got injured. Now they're looking for a replacement, and Fahy could be that replacement. So maybe New Zealand rugby has gone, oof, now we need to find a replacement for this guy. So let's try and intervene with this Fahy negotiations. But yeah, there's always heaps of talent. That's one thing we've seen over the years. And yeah, Fahy has stood out, fortunately. But also at the same time, New Zealand rugby are also in a position now where they haven't been settled when it comes to talent ID and keeping that particular talent. But now, when you have players like your Fahey's popping out of nowhere and having stunning seasons, you must be doing something. You must do something to try or to in order to keep that type of talent within New Zealand. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and you can't fight or argue against what the euro or the pound, how strong that currency is versus what's happening down in New Zealand, for example. Some guys obviously want to help their families and make money in Japan as well, And yeah, at some point, I mean, that talent will always be trying to get opportunities overseas. And I think that's the unfortunate part at this case. Any final thoughts, Vickers, from your side regarding this issue?
No, all good, bro.
Fantastic. Now, moving towards the URC quarterfinals, we're going to start off with Glasgow. I think we all, last week when we made our predictions, we all said Glasgow should take this one. But I have to say, when I was watching the game, I didn't expect Connacht to be that close in the first, 40, 50, 60 minutes, that first hour of the game. I think it was like 7-7 for the longest period of time. And there was a try disallowed from a Glasgow's perspective to kind of extend the lead. But Carl Steyn, how amazing. Tui Polotu, how amazing is that backline? Maybe Glasgow could be found wanting in that forward pack. If the Blue Bulls are serious about winning that game away from home, they need to target that Glasgow forward pack, and I think maybe the Blue Bulls could see themselves go over. But yeah, Hugh? What are your thoughts on Glasgow and Connacht on Friday? And yeah, let's see what Connacht and let's see what Glasgow Warriors can do in the coming weeks.
I was not surprised it was so close, just because Connacht have been on such a great run of form. I think there's one loss in the last 7 or 8 games. And we see quite often in the URC's history, going back to the Pro 12 days, that teams can go on a run kind of after Christmas in the new year, and it carries them all the way to the title. So I wasn't surprised. I think they were always second favourites against Glasgow. Two very, very similar teams, man. I mean, I think I clipped up the number, like the attacking stats from these two sides. And let me see if I can just find it. Yeah, here it is. So the passes, 180 passes to 174, 141 carries to 135, 346 post-contact meters to 350, and 6 line breaks each. Two very similar teams. The big difference between these two is the kicking game. But how I would liken it between Glasgow and Connacht is like it's the difference between like your normal supermarket and your expensive supermarket. And you're like, oh, it's the same food, it's the same meat, it's the same vegetables. Why would I pay the extra money for it? And then you for some reason go to the other supermarket, like your mother-in-law or something takes you to the expensive supermarket, and you're like, oh geez, no, yeah, this is better. And that's kind of like what it is. Like Connacht is like the normal good team, whereas Glasgow are like this is the next level team.
Yeah.
And I think Glasgow's attack just had that extra level of unpredictability about it from the likes of Tuipulotu and from Steyn that just takes them from being a good team to one of the best teams.
No, 100% agree. There is some form of their shape, man, on attack is quite impressive. I've been impressed by Franco Smith's ability to create an environment or to create situations with whatever team he coaches, even when he was at the Cheetahs, even when he was with the Varsity Cup, Shimlers, he always managed to create spaces. His attack is amazing, and he's always been attack-driven as a coach as well. And what he's done with Glasgow over the past couple of years has been nothing short of being of impressive. And I was very impressed with how they create space using Tui Polotu as a first receiver, where he draws at least 2 or 3 players towards him. And also his well-timed passing is so impeccable. Yeah, his footwork is amazing. His defense is great. I mean, he's one of the all-round first centers around the globe at the moment. Is strong in his carries as well. His work ethic, getting off the ground, staying on his feet a lot also helps him. He's not just a one-trick pony. You find him all over the park during games. Vickers, your thoughts on Glasgow and Connacht?
Yeah, look, I didn't watch the game, but watched a bit of highlights. It's interesting enough, the game was very even. I thought when I looked at the stats and looked at the game itself, and obviously the comment, the post-match interview from Lancaster, I think he would be definitely licking himself and saying that they missed out on a big opportunity on this one. Because I mean, they could have taken the game, and I think that's where if I was the Bulls, I would be definitely licking my hands and getting ready for the challenge, like you said, Scoop.
Yeah,
Especially in those forward pack, and making sure that we're gonna keep it in close and we're gonna make them grind. I don't think they're at their best. Glasgow is not at their best for me. But what's interesting is that, like you said, in terms of the stats, they actually toe to toe, and it's basically going to come down to who has more discipline and who's going to make the less mistakes. And I think that's that's playoff rugby. That's playoff rugby right there.
Yeah, no, fair. It is going to be a tight one. Hopefully, we can see who the officials will be. I think maybe some senior guys might step in for this weekend's semi-finals, definitely. Sticking with you then, Vickers, Bulls versus Munster. This one was also quite a interesting game from my perspective. I watched it this morning, didn't watch it yesterday. I thought Andros Papir, fuck, hell, my goodness. Good halfback, guys. There's no two ways about it. And it's crazy that it's taken Rassie this long to select him into that Springbok squad as well. Bulls, very physical. And I thought Munster did well, actually, considering the time the game was played. And obviously the heat, also altitude. I think, altitude kind of caught up with Munster later on into that game. And Munster, yes, had the first 15 minutes, it was all Blue Bulls. Munster didn't have a ball. They couldn't put phases or string phases together. But after that 15 minutes or after the first quarter, they started working their way back into the game. I think from minute 20 to minute 30, that's when they got back into the game, got close into the score. But I think the Blue Bulls from 35th minute to the 40th minute, they scored 2 quick tries. It kind of took the game away from Munster. Blue Bulls didn't score a lot of tries in the second half, but Munster tried to catch up, and also trying to play catch up in Highveld is impossible. Blue Bulls, yes, here and there glimpses of good rugby, and sometimes also just lack of concentration, but I still think they've got a very good defensive system, and that forward pack, if that forward pack can start humming for this weekend, oh man, I think they'll be unstoppable. And also, thinking about the Blue Bulls, they've been quietly grinding in the background, and now all of a sudden we're talking Blue Bulls, Glasgow Warriors in a semi-final, right? If we look back, January, December, nobody was thinking Blue Bulls were even going to make playoffs. Now we're talking Blue Bulls in a semi-final, quietly grinding away and traveling to Glasgow. I think they met Glasgow in the Investec Championship, right? And they lost, obviously, but it was a close game. It wasn't a big score. But regardless of that, I think now they go back into Glasgow thinking, hey, man, last time we were close with these guys. Maybe there's an opportunity this weekend. But yeah, Vickers, Blue Bulls, Munster, if you got to watch it.
Yeah. Look, Like you said, Scoop, I think the first, they came out of the blocks firing. And I mean, they did pull one back. I think they did pull one back to make it 14-7. And then after that, Pollard kicked that penalty to make it 17-7. And then you could sort of feel that the Bulls were slowly chipping away. I think they didn't get a lot of purchase in the scrums in that first couple of minutes, but towards the middle of the game and then towards the second half, they were starting to get the dominance. In terms of the kicking game from the Bulls, they literally disrupted everything. I think that's where I would say the game was won and lost. I think the Bulls really put Munster under pressure on the kicks. Yeah, and other than that, it's just a couple of individual brilliance from a couple of players. And I think it's just the grind, man. I think they literally fought to stay ahead in the game. And I mean, if you Ackerman sitting at this point, you're probably thinking, you know what? If the same work ethic we take to Scotland, definitely we could get a favourable result. So yeah, from my side, I think the Bulls were just if you could say they kept on doing the right things at the right time, and the discipline from Cardiff from Munster didn't help, and then also in saying that it's exactly what you need to do when you're in the home as a home team. You just need to keep. Obviously, the other team was just keep chasing, and they just kept on opening the gap.
Yeah, 100%. Griffin.
Yeah, it's interesting, this new Blue Bulls, game plan, the way that they're evolving under Neil de Bruyn's. The offloading and the keeping ball alive kind of impact is at times it's a bit like watching a French team. This new, like, not the conservative up the jumper kind of rugby that you maybe think of when you think Blue Bulls. I mean, the scrum is still incredible, don't get me wrong, and that is still an area, like we saw that Wilco Louw pulled out ahead of the game. And I had a few Blue Bulls fans in my WhatsApp saying, "Oh, are we going to struggle without Wilco?" Not at all. No. They completely destroyed Munster at the scrum, and maybe a different referee would have let them destroy them even more. But this keep ball alive attack that they're doing, lots of offloads. We need to start calling them the basketball Bulls. Honestly, some of these passes.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's crazy at times, but they have to commit to it. As Vickers will tell you, you're either doing that or you're not. And if they're doing it, then it's a high risk going away to Glasgow to try and play that way, because you would think the way that they've beaten Glasgow before, which, by the way, it's a great rivalry between Glasgow and the Bulls. Two very different teams, but two very high quality teams, mostly international sides.
Yeah.
But the way that the Bulls have beaten them before is, like you said, Scoop, smashing them up front, which they still can do. But if they give Glasgow the turnovers, especially in their own half, with this offloading style, then they could be in trouble. But the big thing that's different about the semi-final is it's being played in Murrayfield, which means it's a real pitch, not a plastic pitch. And as a Welsh rugby fan, we play half of our games on plastic pitches, so it kind of doesn't mean much to us. But whenever I hear South Africans talk about it, they always say, "Oh God, these plastic pitches make such a difference to them." So is that, in a funny way, going to be a result, a benefit to the Blue Bulls? It could be.
Oh, interesting. Vickers, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, funny enough, we spoke about it. Hugh, that point, funny enough, we spoke about it. Remember what Scoop was saying is that a 7,500 field compared to obviously getting a bigger stadium. And we all said it's a Glasgow team going to Edinburgh to go and play a game. So, but I mean, it's a short distance. It's not the travel is not a big factor. And I mean, trains are running throughout smoothly. So, but it's just going to be interesting like that. In terms of, I wanted to just also say that we must credit for the offload game. We must also credit Kennedy Timber, because Neil de Bruyn only joined in obviously in December, and Kennedy has been working with the team, and we started seeing this offload in the new season when they came in. So
Yeah,
I
think you asked about this last year,
yeah.
September, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because they started throwing these wild offloads, and we were all surprised that what kind of Bulls team is this? But but you know, that's the one thing about coaching, though. It's about putting different coaches together and coming out with the best recipe. And I think credit to Ackerman for doing that. And I think that's what we've seen from the Bulls, and they're doing very well.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be clicking at the right time, to be honest. And I mean, yeah, like I said, remember the turmoil beginning of the season, Jake White leaving, Akers coming in, also Akers not finding his feet. We spoke about it last week. They had the Moby unit coming to join them for a few months or a few weeks in Pretoria. So also we saw a bit of a difference after that Moby unit from the Springboks came in as well. So there's a lot of credit to be given to a lot of stakeholders that have been involved in probably creating the change within the Bull structures over the past couple of months, and also credit to Akers. I mean, I won't lie. I'm not gonna sit here and say, hey, I was a big fan. I thought he was out of his depth, and credit to him to go, hey, maybe I am short in expertise in certain areas, because I've worked with Rassie, when Rassie brought him in to come and help out with the junior under-20s, once Umzeke left. They had they probably formed a relationship through that. So, hey, why don't I reach out to a Rassie Erasmus, let him bring some of the expertise where I'm lacking, let him bring, and then he brought also De Bruyne as well. We know Kennedy has been there, Kennedy Nsimba, under Jake White as well. He's still there, so he is familiar with the players. We know Piwa Nomlomo is also part of that structure as well, but mostly with the Currie Cup, but he's also familiar with the players. There's been a lot of people that have been helping within this situation, and the club itself as well. But yeah, it's helped, and we're seeing the results and the fruits. The Blue Bulls are really doing well, and hopefully we see a very good game on Saturday between them and Glasgow. You wanted to chime in, Hugh?
Yeah, a couple of things. Firstly, Rooyen is absolutely right to mention Kennedy, and I was lucky enough to get to speak to Kennedy in the week for an interview. So if people just go on YouTube and search Kennedy Timber, this should hopefully be the first thing that comes up. I was over on Megaphone Rugby. And secondly, the other thing I just want to call out is Willie Leroux in this game. We're starting to see, last year we were saying, Willie, leave the game before the game leaves you. We were saying that. In this game, he's like beating 3 defenders and getting try assists again.
Goose step, Hugh. A goose step. Yeah. It's back. Willie Leroux, man. Yeah, no. I think he's back. He's back in form. And also, right, Vickers, maybe you can chime in here. I mean, in a situation like a Willie Leroux situation, where people are saying you might be too old, and then you probably go away for a bit. You probably need to freshen up your mind, start liking the game again. I mean, do players actually really go through those phases where you probably go, oof, I'm not enjoying rugby anymore as much as I used to? What kind of, things do players, do they look for the enjoyment back again by stepping away from the game for a bit and then coming back? Maybe certain lack of motivation here and there. I mean, do they need those breaks every now and again? Or do you just keep pushing until you find your form again? Like, for example, a Willie Leroux situation, who is starting to show glimpses of his old self.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more difficult, Scoop, because you must remember players are humans, and they all try find the connection within the coaches. So if you look at Willie Leroux, for example, he was brought back by Jake White, so he probably developed a good relationship with Jake. And he was part of the leadership with Jake. He knows Rassie at the Springboks to be a certain way, do things a certain way. So when you get to, for example, you lose that connection with the coach, with a coach like Jake White, who had created this environment, and another guy comes in, there tends to be certain resistance. It's not all the players. It's not every time it happens this way. Just certain players, because they had a certain connection with certain coaches, they do tend to fall in towards that side. Hence, hence maybe he struggled at the beginning, but as time goes and as time he's starting to understand the coach and what the coach needs, and maybe the conversations now have started going to personal coffee dates and all of that. So maybe now he started enjoying his rugby because of what Akamani, the relationship with Akris has developed. So those are the kind of things that happen. It's not necessarily sometimes you need time to break away from the game, but it takes time for you to build a relationship within a certain coach. Yep.
Yeah, I can agree. I can definitely agree with this. It makes a lot of sense. Moving on, the Stormers versus Cardiff. The Stormers versus Cardiff. This one, I'll tell you what I found interesting more than any other technical areas within this game. The scrums for me. Cardiff were very smart. I think there was a minute in the opening 5 minutes. There was a first scrum inside the Stormers 22. The referee makes a mark. The mark is there for the hookers to put their left foot on the left, to put their foot on the left side of the mark, each hooker. That creates the gap or the area where the hooker will slot in with the opponents between the prop and the hooker, between the prop and the hooker on the other side as well. So the referee makes his mark, and the hookers are supposed to form the shape of the scrum, the distance between the two heads and the shoulders, etc., so that we have a good engagement. So one team putting force and the other team putting force on the engagement. Cardiff, smartly so, every time the ref made that mark, Venter's foot would go first, and then the Cardiff hooker would move slightly forward. They didn't want the big impact or the Stormers getting the big impact on the hit, because the ref will call crouch. As he calls crouch, the heads of both hookers were already on the shoulders of the opponent, of each opponent, of the guys in front of them. And within that, you narrow that gap so that the Stormers, when they hit on set, it's a small gap that's been created. So there was a moment there in that first 5 minutes, in that first scrum, where it almost took 3 minutes for that scrum to form. And the ref eventually pulled a short arm against Cardiff in that scrum. But after a few minutes, and the longer the game wore on, the more hits the Stormers got, and they started wanting to dominate in that area. But I found this quite interesting, how to narrow that gap as much as possible for the Stormers. Griffin, what are your thoughts on Cardiff and Stormers?
I think the Stormers did what they needed to do. I think that they got the job done. Obviously, we saw Dobbo in the pre-match interview already was putting a lot of pressure on the referee in regards to the scrum, as you mentioned there. They're asking, Dobbo, what's the plan today? And Dobbo was basically saying, well, so long as the referee, officiates the scrum properly, then we're going to win easily, was an abridged version of what he said. And they pretty much did. I don't think Cardiff ever looks like winning that game. I don't know, guys. I need you guys to tell me. Do you think that the scoreline, the 44-21, I think it was, is an accurate reflection of the game?
No.
Because I think there's a bit of a question mark over a couple of the Stormers' tries in terms of the TMO could have maybe had a look, in my opinion. And then you look at where the Stormers' tries that they did score came from. A lot of them came from really disappointing penalties from Cardiff, like Asenathi, I think, at the tight heads, despite, like you say, Scoop trying to be smart at the scrum, gave away at least 3, maybe 4 penalties at scrum time.
Yeah.
You look at some really, really soft penalties at maul time as well, that they should have known better than to give away. And you're thinking, if the Stormers are playing a team that doesn't give those penalties away, how many tries do they score in this match? What opportunities do they get? And, Cardiff scored from an intercept as well, so that's kind of a freebie as well from their point of view. So maybe Cardiff scored a try too many as well. And of course, the Stormers did have a couple of tries ruled out, and they had a held up as well. So you could easily argue the other way that the Stormers maybe should have scored more. But, I'm looking at that in the second half. There was the 10-minute periods that Cardiff were down to 13 because of getting the props in bins and then having to take another man off because they caused uncontested scrums. And the Stormers didn't score a try during that period. Now, you could say, look, hey, Hugh, we scored 40 points. It's knockout rugby. We won. Who cares? Yeah. You could say, okay. But then you look again back over the season, and this is a trend for the Stormers. It wasn't just this game. We've seen this multiple times this season for the Stormers, not racking up the tries in the way that you would expect. Again, like I said, they scored over 40 points, so maybe I'm being harsh. So you guys tell me, do you think that 44-21 tells the story of the game?
No, for me personally, no, it doesn't. I thought, it's rough, man. It's tough to kind of make out some of the Stormers' plays during this game as well. Like you said, I mean, certain tries, I don't think they were really, really, really that tough, or maybe Cardiff didn't make it as tough as they could have. Like, for example, I mean, two contrasting styles from the last time these two teams met and this past weekend. I thought Cardiff managed the game quite well, and they had very good attack shape during that game, where they had guys coming over and around, and you had screen plays, etc. I didn't see a lot of that this time around. Maybe they put a lot of emphasis on trying to stop that forward pack from the Stormers, but the Stormers themselves as well. Yeah, Cardiff probably kind of made it easy for them in this game. And this coming weekend, we will see how good the Stormers team is when they face Leinster. So I think that is the true test now this coming weekend, and seeing what Tobo can come up with. Even that try, I think, who was it? Ongara, who scored that try that took them to the 40th point in this game. I mean, that try even came in like 72nd minute or something. But between that, you still had about 10, 11 point difference between the two teams. But yeah, Vickers, your thoughts regarding the Stormers game in Cardiff?
Yeah, to answer Hugh's question, I honestly think it wasn't not a true reflection, because also, I mean, I'm in agreement with you guys. The game was much closer than what the scoreline says, and also, I mean, we know Cardiff, obviously they had disciplined issues within the game itself. I thought they competed quite well, but the Stormers went at their best. Again, we talk about throwing the ball. I think there's a thin line between offload positively and a negative offload, because in my book, when you hit momentum and you're running at pace, unless the offload is going to be a try, then that ball shouldn't be offloaded, because the next player is not going to pick up the same momentum, because they don't know whether the offload is going to come, it's not going to come, should they clean, not clean. So for me, it's always that factor that there need to be a balance. But in terms of just the game itself, again, the stats say it all in terms of how close the game was. Discipline, yes, cost Cardiff, but in terms of just everything, I mean, Cardiff really pushed them. I don't know if they had the quality players. Hugh, maybe you can help us here. I don't know if they had the quality players to push the Stormers even further. But for me, I think from what I've seen, I think they really punched above their weight, and they could have won. I think it makes sense why they won the previous week in Cape Town. Maybe the guys didn't respect them enough, and obviously realized in the game that they were chasing. So, and also maybe that makes sense as well why Dobo just spoke about, if we do the things that we want to do, the ref must just continue to do what he needs to do. So, yeah, but it's all those small things. But I think in terms of the game itself, Scoop, 100% line-out dominance, more dominance. They stole one line-out, I think, from from Cardiff. Set piece dominance is always the factor. We all know. So if you're winning all your lineouts, and your lineouts are coming from after penalties, that means that you are driving the game to the right direction. And also, if you look at in terms of possession and territory, Cardiff had a lot of ball in their half, and they tried to play. They didn't go for kicks. They tried to play, and the Stormers were just putting in the hits. So, yeah, again, test match level, playoff rugby, you need to be very conservative, and you need to understand that ball becomes very important, and the way you use your ball becomes very important.
Yeah, Griff, I think Vickers wanted to ask about the Cardiff players, rather, if they had...
You probably would say that they are punching above the weight. I mean, we saw Ben Thomas playing at 13 in this game. It's not his natural position at all. He didn't look too bad, to be honest. He didn't do too bad of a job, but I don't think it's his best position. And you saw, I think, Johan Lloyd at 10 as well. Callum Sheedy is their guy. He's their main guy, and that had a big impact on the kicking game as well. It was really interesting, especially early on. I think the first 5 minutes of the game was basically just kick tennis between box kicks, from the kind of 10 meter from one 10 meter to the other, really. And I think Cardiff were sometimes getting the better of that, but as the game went on, the Stormers definitely got ahead in the kick battle, which was interesting to watch. But definitely lacking Sheedy and having Johan Lloyd in there instead definitely had an impact on the kick battle. I think Sheedy is top for kicks retained for Cardiff this season. And just generally, he's the guy. He suits their game plan much more. Lloyd is much more of a running threat, whereas Sheedy is the distributor, and their game plan is all around having a distributor in that jersey. So that had an effect. I don't know whether that would have been a difference between winning and losing the game. Obviously, Lloyd played when they won the game last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody would say that Cardiff have bunched above their weight. And, just to kind of expand on it a tiny bit, I think the concerning thing maybe from a Cardiff point of view is that this wasn't planned in any way, this run. This team was in administration just over a year ago. And the head coach left to go and coach Wales right on the eve of the season. So they've got a bit of a cobbled together coaching ticket. Their squad is probably, how much planning has gone into the building of this squad. For this season, probably not much. And it's not the result of long planning or building for Cardiff. It just kind of happens. They were the best Welsh team, which means in the Shield, they picked up some easy points there. And they performed well, don't get me wrong, but you'd probably say that, like I said, this isn't the result of a big plan from Cardiff. This just kind of happens. They put some good form together and managed to keep it together, at home especially.
Yeah. I think they've done quite well considering everything that you've mentioned as well. Before we jump onto the Leinster Lions game, Hugh, what's happening with Shaun Edwards? Is he planning to leave France?
Excuse me. I think we need to be careful, guys, because this obviously blew up yesterday that Shaun Edwards looks set to be leaving France. A lot of people think that, it's, the French being crazy, sacking their defence coach a year out from a World Cup. But there are some rumours that it could be medical related. So I think we need to be careful.
Okay. Fair. Because I'm like, everywhere I'm looking, there's like a story about him, and I haven't really gone into it at the moment. Okay, fair enough. Now, Leinster, the 5-star chasing Leinster. They've been chasing 5 stars in Investec Championship for 6 years in a row. It hasn't come. Now they're chasing their second URC championship. Will it happen? But they thrashed the Lions on Saturday. Biggest talking point, Dan Sheehan, Mr. Hurdles, Dan Sheehan. The fact that he he was trying to jump and catch a ball, and I think the scrum off from the Lions was there to make a tackle, and he wasn't even looking at what Dan Sheehan was doing. But people are making a big fuss on the fact that was a penalty. I say Dan Sheehan was jumping to catch the ball. Probably didn't need to jump, but was jumping to catch the ball, and the 9 was already in a position to try and make a tackle. I think just penalty only, and you move on from that. I don't know what you guys think about this particular aspect of the game, and also what do you think of Leinster thrashing the Lions? Vickers, let's start with you. I think this game was too late for you, huh?
You must start with Hugh. It was too late. But you must start with Hugh because he shared a clip. He shared a very interesting clip on our group.
Okay, let's go, Griff.
Yeah, so this was the most Leinster thing ever. So I do think that it was very harsh to penalise the Lions player for that Dan Sheehan incident. I mean, yes, you could say he's technically made contact in the air, but the Lions player has just stood still, and Dan Sheehan has jumped, has made the decision to jump, and it's a very, it's a forward jump. He's not jumped on the spot to catch it. He's jumped forwards. And the Lions player, there is nothing the Lions player could have done, unless he dives out of the way like action movie style to avoid that impact. So I think for me, I don't see how you can. If we're just being logical about it, I don't think you can penalise the Lions player. That's my opinion. There was also the one with Tom Clarkson doing the Undertaker tombstone on the Lions player as well. Flipped him around upside down, dropped him on his head, and the referee's saying, low level of danger. It's like, what are we doing here, guys?
It's Leinster.
Yeah. What's happening? If that's not foul play, what is? So you get those against Leinster out in Dublin. Every team. Look, I could tell you every Scarlets game that they played against Leinster in Dublin. I could tell you a ridiculous refereeing decision that has either saved Leinster a card or given Leinster a try. It just happens every single game. It's a guarantee.
What did Eddie Jones say a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago about Ireland not having to travel to Japan? I mean, the headquarters are in Ireland, guys. The headquarters are in Dublin for referees, for administration. But yeah, continue, Hugh.
So in terms of the scoreline, I think this clearly, I don't want to be casting aspersions or anything, but maybe those boys from Johannesburg have had a trip up to Dublin for 2 weeks and thought, hey, this is really nice, because it is really nice there. And maybe they just had a bit of a holiday rather than training for a game, because that was not a competitive rugby match. I think it is fair to say.
Yeah.
From Leinster's point of view, like I called it, I said everybody's thinking Leinster, they lost the grand final in the Champions Cup. Are they going to be, there for the taking for the Lions mentally? The most Leinster thing ever is to screw up the final and then beat a mid-table URC team. Think, what is the resource difference between the Lions and Leinster? In millions of euros.
Yes.
Is it triple? Do we think it's triple? Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe more, quadruple.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Yeah, you've turned up. You got your asses handed to you in the big game that everybody cared about. This 5th star that you've been talking about for years and years. The whole reason that you get up for, that you play for Leinster, apparently. You don't turn up for that game, but then you do turn up and you put 60 on a Lions team that's been on holiday for 2 weeks. Like that. It was so predictable, and it's so, honestly, for me, if I'm a Leinster fan, I'm more angry because of this.
Yeah, not fair. I mean, let's see. I think next week will be a very good a task or challenge. Let's discuss those fundamentals. 2 semi-finals, guys. Vickers, Glasgow host the Blue Bulls in Scotland. Apparently, it's going to be played in Murrayfield. Probably a huge number of fans are coming through for this. It's going to be a physical game, both sides. 2 big packs, very international-esque type of clubs, both clubs, especially where Glasgow's concerned in terms of Scotland, and especially where the Blue Bulls are concerned in terms of Springboks. They've had some players coming back from injury now for the Bulls, and they look at 100% ready for this semi-final. But who do you see, Vickers, between Glasgow and the Blue Bulls going through to the final, and why?
So it evens up the the game being at Murrayfield, it evens up the playing ground. I think the nice part now is that the Bulls have going to Scotland in summer. It's nice and warm. They're gonna be. They're going to be in good spirits. No, it's no longer your January trip. They're going to be in good spirits. It's played in a grass pitch, and probably, I mean, it's one of my favorite cities in the world, Edinburgh. It's a nice place to be in. It's a feel good time going there.
To be in Europe right now.
Yeah, to be in Europe right now. And let's be honest, you're leaving the cold Pretoria, the cold, dry Pretoria, to go to a nice and easy Scotland. So for me, I think that part is sorted. That off the field part is sorted. Now the on field part, like we said, Scoop, earlier, if they come out dominating those scrums, those lineouts with the big pack, the forwards, as you know, I mean, Hanekom had a good game. Elrich Lowe had a good game. Marcel Coetzee had a good game. I mean, those are, I'm talking 3 Bok flankers.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, if that tight 5 is together with those loose 3, that's going to become a long day for Franco. And I think he is definitely aware of that. Yes, they might pip them in the backs. They might get the advantage of the backs, but if the Bulls decide to keep the ball close, maybe this is the one game that we don't need to credit Neil De Bruyn and Kennedy Simba. Maybe this is the one game we need to say to Ackerman, look, you take the job, you do the business. It's your job, because that's the only thing. They just need to grind. The 4 just need to grind, because if it's going to become a 50-50, Glasgow has got more X factor. I would think Glasgow's got more X factor. No, but if you look at the Bulls, they don't have what's the X factor? It's Kirtley Arendse, it's maybe Kenan Moody. I'm not so sure if Vili. Yeah, but
Ambrose.
Yeah, maybe Ambrose. But if you look at 9 Glasgow, you look at centers Glasgow.
Yeah,
that's top. You look at the wingers Glasgow. That's top. Even a fullback, I would count him in that mix. So for me, I think they have the X factor, but the game is going to be won in that forward pack. And also the big one is the discipline factor, because if you are disciplined and you play against the Bulls, you're not giving them anything. But if your discipline lacks, the Bulls will come and dominate.
Pollard. How important would Pollard be in kicking
100%.
With that discipline? You can slot them over from 60, by the way. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Griffin, do you agree with Vickers?
Yeah, 100%.
Glasgow have more X factor than the Blue Bulls.
I think that the Blue Bulls could have more X factor, but not right now, because they're still, for me, I think they're still developing this new keep all alive playing style, and I don't think they're in the final form. I think it's going to take them time to really realize the full benefit of that. And I think if they keep trying to play like that away in Glasgow, I think they're going to give Glasgow a couple of tries. Now the thing is that the Bulls are the top try scoring team in the URC, and probably have, if you just go on how many tries they score and their 22-meter conversion and things like that, you'd say they're the best attack in the URC. So, but then Glasgow are the best defence in the URC, in my opinion. So it's going to be a close battle, and it could well come down to Andre Pollard, because Glasgow don't kick threes. Glasgow have kicked 1 3-pointer all season. Whereas if you've got Pollard in your team, you probably feel like you've got that advantage. You say, if it comes down to that, then we're going to win. And you also, if you're the Bulls, you're saying, if it comes down to scrums, we're going to win.
Ooh.
So, well, clearly, for sure, I don't think that's contentious. I think if it comes down to scrums, it comes down to goal kicking. That's 2 clear advantages that the Bulls have over Glasgow. But I think that Glasgow's attack is more advanced, more settled at the moment. And that Glasgow defence is extremely impressive Whereas the Bulls, even against Munster, are kind of a bit of a nothing Munster team.
Yeah.
They were leaking a lot of line breaks in that game. And Glasgow will do better in those scenarios than Munster did. So anything could happen in this match, guys.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
It's an interesting one, I'm not going to lie. But sticking with you, Griffin, we have the Stormers. High and mighty Stormers, who were number 1, number 2 during the season. Now they're in the semi-finals. Unfortunately, they were probably hoping to be hosting a semi-final, but now they have to travel to Ireland and face this angry 5-star chasing Leinster side. They have only won the UFC once, Leinster. And probably, with all the money we were talking about earlier, they probably want to show some form of silverware going into this season. Can they go all the way again to try and make it back-to-back? Can they beat the Stormers side? As you've mentioned with the Blue Bulls and Glasgow, the scrum element. Dobbo mentioned it before the game against Cardiff. He'll probably mention it against Leinster this weekend as well. The Stormers pride themselves in that scrum. Brock Harris, their former player, is the one who's leading that scrum, coaching that scrum. Can Stormers upset Leinster in Ireland? Talk to me.
We're going to find out. This is the one with the Stormers where we're going to find out. Okay? This is... I'm trying to envisage in my head how is this game going to go, or for the Stormers to win this, because I don't think it's controversial to say that Leinster at home against anybody are favourites.
Yeah,
you know, even UBB, if they were playing in like a quarter final instead of a grand final in the Aviva,
yeah,
who's the favourites there? You know, and so I clearly think that Leinster are favourites. So for Stormers to win this game, how does the game need to go? Well, straight away, you got to say they need a lot of scrums. They need a lot of scrums. They need a lot of set pieces. And they need to maul, and they need to scrum, and they need to defeat Leinster that way. If it becomes a game that's all about open play, do we see the Stormers winning? I mean, there's obviously the question mark about whether Sacha is going to be available. But what I will say is that if there is no Sacha, then that has a huge impact on how the Stormers play. We don't even need to kind of discuss better or worse. You just need to say that the change in how they play will be huge, of going from Sacha to Mattia, and then you will see Willemse get a lot more touches in that case. You know, so that's a big one as well. But if this becomes a game that's all about open play, if I'm just being honest, I'm struggling to see how that results in a Stormers win.
Oh my goodness. Vickers, talk to us, because we've watched the Stormers all season long. We've watched Leinster all season long. We know what Leinster can do at home, but we don't know what Stormers can do away from home. Probably the best game I've seen the Stormers play away from home was their loss against Toulon away from home in France, where they were close. I think they lost by 1 point. A game they could have won. But now the Sacha factor comes in for this weekend. Is he fit for this week? Is he not fit? When he's not fit, what happens to the Stormers? Because he's guided the Stormers attack the whole season. He must have 100 touches over anybody else, even more than the scrum half, I think. Talk to me, Vickers.
He's probably got more ball carries than anyone as well. But yeah, I think Hugh has hit the nail on the head. If they will try and if this game is all about going to be very important for them to go to their strongest point, which is their scrum, I think their maul is also very effective. I think Rito has worked out quite well in that maul with the mauls. But the Stormers, for me, have dominated in South Africa. we don't say the same about the Stormers dominating overseas. I would love to see the stats, how many games put together that the Stormers have won in Ireland, Scotland, and probably would say France. I'm not going to count Italy. I'm not going to count. Yeah, we can count Wales. Maybe one or two teams in Wales. Maybe Ospreys and Scarlets. I think if you look at that, I think for me, the Stormers are not really a good team to travel overseas. But again, it becomes a factor that they're going to summer. They're going to summer. This game is going to be in Dublin. So who knows? Maybe that might spark something. But again, it's going to be one of those where it's going to depend on the discipline. And the one thing that we do know, like we said last week, with talking about the Bulls, was that they start the game fast, and Munster needs to keep up, and that's going to be the same this week. Leinster will start fast. Stormers need to keep up and make sure that they don't let that score get away from them. So I think that's, for me, that's basically simple. It's going to be a tough battle. It's going to be tough going into obviously Dublin and try to win a game. We know the defense is quite solid from both teams, but also the attack is quite smart from Leinster side. So they will be able to manipulate the defense from the Stormers side, because the Stormers are rushing, and I don't even call it a rush. I think it's like a crazy defense that everyone go. There's no. I don't see quite a lot of structure on it, because I see a lot of one-off players. So if you get a player like a Pendergast who played fly half, who can throw a skip pass, a solid skip pass, who's got a good kicking game, it might put them under pressure a little bit. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. But my thought process it's just not on the Stormers this weekend. I think we'll have a Leinster, and then I can't call the other game in terms of who will win, because I think that's going to be massive.
Interesting that the Glasgow and Blue Bulls one is more difficult than the Stormers traveling to Leinster. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, the Sacha factor might be the only difference for me in this game. And forward pack wise, I think it could be evenly matched, but I don't know, man. Because I mean, also if we look at the scrums, Stormers scrums have been pretty good. Irish scrums have been, shown their butts, to be honest. Because if you look at what the Blue Bulls did to Munster, and I think the Stormers can do the same to Leinster. But yeah, if Sacha's fit, I think there's a possible chance. It'll be a tight game. If Sacha's fit, and defensively, like you've mentioned, because if they can hold off Leinster for that first quarter, because we know Leinster just goes out guns blazing. If they can manage Leinster and keep that scoreboard within range, there's a chance Stormers can upset Leinster. But I don't see them playing a full 80 away from home and holding off Leinster in a full 80. They can push them for 60, but that last 20 minutes, I don't know. I don't think the Stormers will have enough in the tank to pull it off. But I could be wrong. But this is a good test for Dobbo as a coach. This is a good test for the Stormers players, who some of them are Springboks, to show some courage and go away from home and actually beat a Leinster team at home. I don't have Leinster lost a game this season at home, Griffin. I don't think so.
Technically, they lost to Munster at Croke Park, which was technically a home game.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so I don't see Stormers going away from home and pulling it off. Maybe they can push them to a similar scoreline to what they did against Toulon. But yeah, it'll need a Sacha performance to get Stormers over the line, unfortunately. And if Willemse needs to move to 10, that's also a bit different than having a Sacha at 10. for the Stormers. But yeah, let's see what unfolds this next weekend in this particular game. But yeah, the Blue Bulls one, I think it's a similar one as well. I don't see Blue Bulls pushing Glasgow for full 80 away from home. If they do, it'll be a miracle. But for an hour, I can see the Blue Bulls hanging in there and being within range in the game. But yeah, for full 80, that's always the question mark. Those last 20 minutes or those last 10 minutes of the game when you're away from home, that's when it really, 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 really counts. That last 10 to 15 minutes is when you need to really make sure that you're within range and your discipline is so good that you're not copping penalties in the wrong areas of the field where teams can just slot go 3-pointers or kick for touch and push a maul. You get a penalty offside from a maul or something like that. It's easy, right? When you really trying to figure out a way to win away from home as well. But regardless of that, yeah, that brings us to an end to the URC, man. We've covered the URC for a full-on hour. Results, predictions for next week. Yeah, now going into just the roundup for Super Rugby. We had Crusaders humbling the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes that supposedly will beat the UBB. But yeah, Hurricanes, they had a depleted team. They made a lot of changes for this game. But Crusaders look on good form in Christchurch, unbeaten in the new stadium. Back-to-back full capacity crowd attendance, which has been pretty good for them. But yeah, Crusaders look in good nick at the moment. But without Will Jordan, I don't see them winning the competition. It'll be a miracle if they could. But we know Crusaders when it comes to playoffs. This weekend, we will see the games. It's playoff series where teams try and win to host a semi-final. Right. That's what's going to be happening this weekend. Brumbies losing to Moana Pacifica. That's the biggest result of the weekend. Crazy result, but well done to Tana. I mean, winning away from home in Canberra, unheard of. It's been a weird season when it comes to the Brumbies. Started off like a house on fire, putting 40 points against the Crusaders in Christchurch. No one has ever put 40 points against Crusaders in Christchurch, but Brumbies managed to do that in the beginning of the season, and everyone thought Brumbies would go all the way in this season, in this competition. But at the moment, they're sitting in 6th position, which is quite disappointing in that sense. Western Force also beating Waratahs. I don't know what's happened with the Waratahs. On and off this season, not really firing. I mean, they've got good coaching personnel there. I don't know, maybe they really need some experience within their structures, like guys who are playing for the Wallabies. They need to build from that now, going forward, especially in the forward pack. It would really help them. The Reds beating the Drua 45-25 in Ballymore, as they used to call it. Queensland Reds, I mean, yeah. Drua haven't been great this season. We've seen them over the past 2 seasons where they've really pushed and they've ended up in that playoff series round about 5th, 6th, 7th position. But this year, it hasn't been a year for them. I understand that they'd lost a lot of players, but they seem to have a good talent coming through every year in Fiji. But it's good for the game. It's good for the growth of the game in Fiji as well. So yeah, well, let's see if they manage to keep the players this season and how they develop for the next season. I think for them now it's all about developing for next year's Super Rugby. The Chiefs. Oh, Jade. That's why Jade has not joined the space today, guys. Unfortunately, the Chiefs almost put 60 points, man, against the Blues. The Blues cannot wait to get rid of Van Carter at the moment. Everyone can't wait to have Jason Holland coming through and joining the Blues, because the Blues have been poorly coached this year. Last year, they played like a team on fire, or 2 seasons ago when they actually won the competition. But yeah, now I don't know what's going on. Vern Cotter, once he made the announcement that he's going to the Reds, yeah, it hasn't been smooth sailing in Auckland so far. But almost 60 points, cheapest. That's crazy. Considering the fact that some people are defending Bowden Barrett, I think it's time. He's almost in a similar boat as Willie Leroux in South Africa. But I think the only thing that is saving Bowden Barrett now is that New Zealand haven't found a 10 that can actually take that number 10 jersey by the scruff of the neck and make it his own. Because now he's the only experienced player, we seem to go back to him. But man, he hasn't led this Blues team. He will not lead an All Black team as well going forward, to be honest. So yeah, I think the Blues, Jason Holland going there next year, leaving the Hurricanes, he needs to find a good 10. Maybe Bowden's last season is next season. I don't want him to be playing full 80. He should be a guy that comes in off the bench now, guiding those youngsters at or in Auckland to really try and get them to a level by the time he leaves, to really try and get those boys, pass on enough knowledge and experience and expertise to get those boys humming for the seasons to come. But yeah, that's my roundup for Super Rugby. Any thoughts from you guys regarding Super Rugby?
No,
Don't
just
all
as
jump at
I don't
once.
understand what's going on with the Australians this season. The wrong team always wins.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what's going on either, but I think the Reds are probably the only team that's been consistent. Yes, they've lost a few games against the New Zealand teams, but yeah, I think the Reds are the only standout team. And also, the Reds have quite a lot of international players within their group, but Brumbies also have a lot of internationals in their team. But since, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Bernie Lockham's team there. But anyway, that's it, guys, for this week's Rugby Scoop. And yeah, next week we'll be talking a different story after the semifinals. After the playoff series of Super Rugby, we will know what's happening within semifinal structures. And yeah, looking forward to playoff footy this coming weekend. Thanks, Hugh. Thanks, Vickers. Thanks to all the listeners as well. Guys, have a wonderful Sunday. And yeah, it's nice to record like nice and early to have the rest of the Sunday to yourself as well. All right, gents, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
fellas. Cheers.